The TBH,
Mm.
I'm a scholar of the bad popes.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, so the Catholic Church has had, like, a ton of popes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've had a bunch. Not all of them have been good.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, some of them were so bad that, like, there's a section of
Mm.
papal history is called, like, the bad popes.
Right. That sound like my kind of popes. Wait, but why
So,
were they bad?
okay, so some were bad for, like, fraud and, like, murder and stuff,
Oh, okay.
but some were bad. There is a particular incident in
Mm-hmm.
St. Peter's Basilica.
Uh-huh.
So we're talking the Vatican. This
Yeah.
happened in the Vatican,
Uh-huh.
called the Joust of Whores, where women were stripped naked. They were prostitutes, so like they were paid and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
had to slither on the ground and pick up walnuts with their labia. And whoever got the most walnuts won.
Welcome to the Yaoi Shelf. Grab a seat and relax.
Something we have not been able to do,
Mm.
I
Ever?
think, ever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what is relax? What does that mean?
So my name is Amanda, also known as
Mm.
AichiYume. My beautiful co-host is Aisha.
Oh, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Yeah, wow.
I'm surrounded by twittering birds never fly material because I feel like all the stuff came in at once.
Also, I'm sure you saw the announcement. Yeah, I
Yes!
knew you have, and you may have tweeted about it on
Oh,
the
I absolutely
Twitter.
did.
Okay, but I
Absolutely.
hadn't looked yet, but I
Don't
figured.
worry. Don't worry. Accomplished.
Yes, I
And I'm
figured
over
probably the
here in
day
my
of.
email trying to click a pre-order button that isn't active yet. I feel like a fucking bird. I'm just like smashing the
Yeah.
button. It's not live yet.
As
Uh,
soon as I heard about it, I was like, "Oh, Amanda is just screaming right now." Like,
well, because okay, so like a timeline. I
mm,
got the Sentai movie,
mm-hmm,
the limited edition volume 4,
mm-hmm,
and then I got the Don't Stay Gold with the volume 7 limited edition from Japan,
mm-hmm,
which we talked about in our haul episode.
mm-hmm.
But in all fairness, I ordered that late at night while depressed months ago.
Yeah, of course.
So I ordered that late
Pre-orders
at
don't
night.
count.
Yeah. And it's also one item. So
Mm,
like I ordered that late at night many months
mhm.
ago and then was shocked when a box arrived in March.
You're like, "Oh,
It's like, oh,
I must have
forgot.
been depressed."
I must have been sad. Um,
Yes.
but I'm excited for the Don't Stay Gold
Mm,
DVD. I hope that gets translated because that's just Kuga and Kageyama.
mm.
And
Wait, aren't they the ones that I
yeah,
no.
those that's
Yeah,
the
those are
pair
the
you
ones that I
like.
like. Yeah, I really
Yes.
like that couple.
Yeah, so I really hope they translate that one.
Hmm.
Well, because Don't Stay Gold, I think that's in one of the volumes. I think it's in like volume 1 or volume 2. So it's
Hmm.
basically just that animated. Um,
Oh, okay, yes.
and everyone's voices are still way too deep because Japan has no chill.
I like how they've I like
I wasn't mad. I was caught
mm,
off. I think I was caught off by Domeki a little bit,
I
where it's
didn't see
like,
it. The thing is I didn't see it though. I
that's
didn't
fine.
watch it. But
I've watched it multiple times. Um, so I feel like I'm just like surrounded by twittering bird stuff. I need to redo my Yaoi shelf, which brings us back to the show, the Yaoi shelf.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so what are we talking about today, Aisha?
Representation. Bam, 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 bam.
We were so excited about representation because that's something that especially like us running the Twitter for the account is something
Mm,
that we see over and over again from like
mm,
aunties and stuff like that. It's like Yowie's bad representation. It's
mm.
like realistically most things are.
Just the representation conversation in general is very like we already know it's
Mm-hmm.
nuanced, which is why we are having this conversation on this podcast because we like conversations like this
We
apparently.
do.
But it's not black and white, it's very gray. In this case it's black and black. It's
Yeah,
black.
in this case, it's mulatto and mulatto. I don't
Okay,
think.
what we're not finna do.
Ma'am. Do I need to get out the chart? Do I need to get out the chart? Do I need to get the chart?
I am a black woman with a capital B.
I'm not denying you your blackness. I'm just saying you look like a Starbucks caramel macchiato.
Wow! Okay, that's the lighting. Let me fix this lighting.
This episode we've been waiting to do for a while because I think there's a reason why we didn't tackle it last year. I don't know what the reason was. But
I think we were just tired.
Yeah, we were exhausted.
Because the word representation does, I think we've brought the word up in other
Multiple
episodes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but like, because it's something that always, it comes up a lot in this space. Yeah.
And I feel like at this stage it's a little bit triggering because no one really knows how to have a good conversation about representation.
Yeah.
What is representation? In media, representation is seeing yourself in media of various kinds, like seeing different ethnicities and sexual orientations on screen or in print, as well as those that may be mentally ill, neurodivergent, or with a wide variety of disabilities. So it's seeing yourself or an aspect of yourself. It's why, and this is going to sound way more callous than it is, there's always a kid in a wheelchair in a kid show. It's so we soften that for children who can walk and give representation to those who can't. Like, that's why, it's why, like, kid shows look so artificially rainbow. It's so no one feels left out.
Yeah, right.
You don't want anyone left out. Now, it's, to us as adults, it's hokey and stupid and we hate it. But to kids, that's important because you don't want, the infamous, kid, like, what's that? Pointing at their classmate in a wheelchair. No one wants that.
Ooh, okay, that while you're saying that, a point popped up into my head as well. Like, because we often talk about representation in, like, through the lens of, like, as an individual, like, I'm looking to see myself, but I honestly think that we should switch that around and start thinking about representation in the sense of, like, we need to see other people who are different, like, which is why I like manga, because it's something that's different from me. Like, I like seeing other people's lives.
So here's why I love and hate that. It's because who's writing that narrative then? Yeah. Because if then you say, like, because I'm using, like, children's media because that's a big thing with representation. Like, a lot of episodes have, like, the gay couple. Yeah. Not all of them are written very well.
This is true.
Some of them are written very badly. So then when you, as, you small child, finally do meet a gay couple, because they are real and they do have children. Right. Unless you are looking at an abject stereotype, you might not know. I think what most children's media should teach children is mind your business.
You know what?
That might have been very Southern, but, like, I think most children's media needs to, like, stop teaching kids about, like, oh, this is Danny's wheelchair, and these are all the parts. You know what? Leave Danny alone.
You know
Treat
what?
Danny like a person, and then keep on pushing. You don't gotta know Danny's business.
That is such a good point.
You don't have to know why his legs don't work. Leave Danny alone. Danny's just doing his best. He's over here in the sand pit.
Right. Especially if you're not friends with them.
Because so much of it's framed as, like, strangers. Where it's like, oh, that's Maggie and her two moms. Leave them alone. Okay. Do they have knives? Business. Like, do they have guns? Are they here to hurt you? Are they... That's Maggie and her two moms. Okay. So, representation is important, but as we mentioned very loudly in episode 1, stop looking to Japanese media to represent you. It's Japanese. It is not here to represent us as Americans. If you are white, you're not going to a Tyler Perry movie looking for representation. Yep. I mean, black people aren't either, but...
Listen, when I tell you, how many times have we complained about Tyler Perry? So often. Almost every episode that fool gets brought up. We really have a beef. We have beef. Tyler Perry, we have
tweet
beef
at
with
him.
You.
we need to like tweet at him. It's like we have a score to settle.
We have beef because
yeah, we're gonna start an internet.
I don't
beef.
like how you're represented.
I don't like how I'm being represented, but also it's so on point that I can't watch the movies without like being triggered.
Because TBH,
Like-
there's so much in the movies that we can all look at each other as black people.
Right,
Not
like
all, but
all
most
the
of us.
filigree is
We're just
so
like-
on point that it's like I'm triggered. Because everyone has the loud ass grandma. Everyone has the great grandma who like survived slavery and is 1,000 years old and is just disappointed in all of you. Everyone has that light skinned cousin who takes it too far and is trying to be hood. I was thinking of Shamar Moore's character because he's so light skinned and they had him like with his pants sagged and the do rag, and it's like it's still Shamar Moore. But because we're talking about boys' love, from the discourse, a lot of people, especially the youths, one of the big issues that they see with boys' love is the representation problem. Mostly that like it's not portraying realistic or accurate gay relations. Here's the thing, and I think we've said this before.
Yes.
So I apologize for being repetitious. It's fucking fiction. It's Aisha, are you looking to Zane novels for representation?
Not these days.
Not these days.
When I was in my youth, I probably did.
Yeah, that's true. Because all we had was Zane.
Because that's all I was sneaking. I was sneaking Zane novels.
Right.
Off my grandma's shelf.
Because she had 60,000.
Yes. But absolutely not.
Looking back at some of the manga that was formative to me, there were a lot of problematic things in it.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that was, one, I was not reading that at an age where I could understand it. And I had no one to contextualize it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So those were the problems with that. So, yeah, actually, shout out to some of our followers. I don't remember which one now, but like someone was reading jazz over the weekend.
Mm.
And
wait. Oh, yeah, you love that. Yeah, you talk about yeah.
Well, I don't know if I love it anymore, but it was formative. We'll say it was formative. I have not reread it in a minute.
Right.
I might be horrified now. I don't know. Now that I'm like I'm over 30, it's fiction, and yes, it's problematic, and yes, it's gross, and like, yeah, that's something that I would never want to happen to anyone in my real life or to me in real life. Unless it's consensual, because like
most BL is framed in a way that is saying this is fiction, like whether it's explicitly saying it or implicitly, because it's fiction, it's implied that you should not.
It's in the fiction section of the
because it's
bookstore.
in fiction. It's fiction, and it's not being marketed as guidebook. Yes.
Right, like it's
and
not...
so that's why I get frustrated when we talk about fiction and calling things problematic, because I'm like, is it problematic if it's not causing any problems in real life? Like,
so
yes, go ahead.
I will say reading problematic material when I was too young to handle it was bad.
Right. But that's why we have ratings.
Yeah,
and kids should,
but
parents should. Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Okay, go ahead.
Fine.
Sorry.
But like my aunt didn't care until she started reading my fan fiction, and she's like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
Like she saw some of my fanfic, and she's like, "Oh God, is this what you've been doing at night?" It's like, "Yes." But like she didn't care. She didn't.
Yeah.
Like, so I will say, like, I have to be careful with that, because I do think that yes, like I should not have been reading jazz when I was. I shouldn't have, because I internalized it wrong.
Yeah.
That's not Jazz's fault.
Right.
That's my fault and my aunt's fault. Like, so I do have to be careful with that, because I don't want to completely like discredit that issue. But I think it's also so overblown. I think we talk about it a little bit during the discourse episode, where it's like, oh, stop talking about this character because they're bad. And it's like, okay, they're not real.
They're not actually hurting a person. Like,
like, it's not, Like, oh my god, I love it. I love it in fandoms nowadays. Because now they're starting to, like, go back and look at, like, other older anime, which is all problematic to them. I mean, it probably is, but, like, it's all
Yeah.
problematic to them. But it's like, I can't believe that this happened. It's like, okay, but, like, it's not real.
Yeah.
No
And
one...
didn't your parents teach you that that's fiction?
Right, like,
Like,
and not that media can't affect you.
it can.
It
Absolutely it
can.
can. It has. It's
Like,
affected me.
oh my god, when I first watched Devilman Crybaby, I shotgunned it a little bit. Like, I shouldn't have watched it like all at once the way I did, because I literally just had like an existential crisis, and I ended up like calling my best friend, and the only words that I was repeating for a while were "usotsuke," which is "you lie," and then "I hate you." Like, I started a Skype call with him because he's like, "Are you okay? Do you need to decompress?" And as soon as I hit dial, it was just "Usotsuke" and "I hate you" for like a good solid like 5 minutes of the call, because I just couldn't get. My head was just gone. Like, at the end of Crybaby, I didn't have a brain. I didn't have a soul. I was barely a body. I didn't have anything. And like, media can super affect you that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, I also acknowledge that it's not real.
Yeah.
Like, that literally didn't happen. I hope.
Also, I really think that this speaks to me. This conversation makes me want to have a larger conversation about just in general, us as humans, a lot of us, our inability to how do I say it? It's like this inability to uh differentiate our own like like feelings from the thing that we're reading. Actually, that is why we have so many people who will be on the internet freaking out about their, like, if you say, "Oh, I don't like this character. I don't like this anime." People freak the fuck out because they don't know how to they're not differentiated. They don't know how to separate themselves from
Okay, but
that.
that goes back to neurodivergency, I think, a little bit. I think I think it actually goes back a lot to neurodivergency and trauma. So if you are like, honestly, both of your hosts, or if you're just young,
I love how we're. I hope. I hope. I don't wish this. I don't wish it on anyone.
Yeah, we're so sorry. We're so sorry.
If you're like either of us.
If you're like either of us. Who was that one person in the last live stream when I was talking about being OCD, and it's like, oh shit, now I gotta get checked out.
Oh no. Yeah, right.
Like, oh shit.
It's like this weird thing where I'm like, on the one hand, I'm like, I'm not alone. And on the other hand, I'm just like, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. Because honestly, and a lot of it is maturity as well, even with being neurodivergent. Because I love that a lot of neurodivergent people love to say that and still be shitheads. But like, realistically, I say this love like newer anime, that like if this came up when I was 16, oh, I'd be the fucking worst. If Yuri on Ice came out when I was 16, 17 years old, I'd still be wearing a Russia jumpsuit. If My Hero Academia came out when I was 16, 17 years old, I would be the biggest fucking fangirl. Like, but I'm 30. So one, I don't have the time or the energy to deal with any of this shit. And two, these narratives just don't hit the way they used to.
Right.
But I will say, and I don't think this is in the outline, I saw an article, and I'm not throwing any shade at anyone, but it was someone writing about Yuri on Ice. It was like, Victor was excellent Slavic queer representation. And it's like, Victor didn't do anything but be horny for one guy.
I was like, what did he do?
He had a hard-on for one guy. Excellent Slavic queer representation? He was a Russian lamp. All he did was be hot and gay. But, in all fairness, if I was Russian and I was an anime fan, that's fucking phenomenal. And I get that. I get it. I think, and I know we've discussed this before, but I think one of the big things with representation is, especially in the queer community, we love to hold on to things. I think that's why like Yuri on Ice was so held on to, is because like for a queer couple, they're pretty boring.
Yeah, and right, and it's
and like not problematic.
yeah.
Except for like some parts of it that you could technically pick apart if you really wanted to be a pedant, which I did. But you know, but like that's a pretty non-confrontational, vanilla, queer couple.
Yeah, they were cute.
And,
like
yeah, they were cute. Like Victor wasn't a rapist. Like you know, nothing alarming happened. You know, it was just two men in love, and like that's good. That's nice. Like that's really something for some people, and I respect and I get that. You see that a lot also in Western media, like Steven Universe had that problem, where one of the reasons why the fandom was so vitriolic was because it was like, look at these characters who were a lot of them are visibly queer, outwardly queer, and people wanted to protect them because it's like, this is ours, this is sacred.
I see. I had no idea that the fandom was the fandom.
Oh, their fandom it's one of the worst.
Wow, I had no idea.
If I had to say like top 5, I think they might be like number 4 or 5 now.
Interesting, but it's such a great show. Like it's such a.
But it's also, think about American queer youth. Yeah. What do they have to hold on to?
Right.
So you're gonna latch on. You're not going to accept any criticism from anyone. You know, because this is your baby. This is sacred.
Yeah.
Yuri on Ice had that problem a lot, where a lot of people were like, you know, this show is perfect, and it's like, it's fine. We have all seen our fair share of bad representation in BL, and that honestly doesn't mean that it gets a pass, but we just acknowledge that the next writer or artist does it better. Media is weird, because we can say these things are problematic at the start, but then also still not have I still like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't like Lord of the Rings. I like the mythology and the lore around
I like the
Lord
movies.
Of the Rings. Oh, okay, sure. So, what if you still want to be angry about Yaoi and BL not representing you exactly you? Because I think that's the big thing is, and I know Aisha mentioned this, it's a feeling of you not being represented. And I know like that's always been like my biggest rub with like, oh, well, here's your black character. They're nothing like me. They don't know me. They don't know my life. They don't know anything about what, but also, slight tangent.
Yeah.
I have acknowledged that I am a unicorn.
We all freaking are.
I am a Roman Catholic, bisexual, bi-gender, college educated, upper middle class, suburban black queer person. There's no... Who the fuck is writing for that narrative?
Right.
Who's writing for that niche?
I mean,
of 5 people.
We can talk and have like a cultural, like, oh yeah, you know, we like culturally we experience
we still have
this.
Like the cultural trauma of slavery and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Or like how most like a lot of us black girls grew up getting box braids, you know, extensions. Not all of us, obviously, but a lot of us. Like that's a shared. You're gonna have shared experiences with people. Yeah. But ultimately, we're all experiencing things through our own eyes. Like, we're a mixture of, like, all of our own experiences, the things that we consume as far as, like, media goes, the people we talk to. Like, my parents and your parents were not the same. They didn't grow, you know, they may have had similarities, but they were also, it's so much, like, like, differences. There's so much room for so many stories. Like it's never going to be oversaturated because people have different experiences.
Exactly. And I think like that's one of the reasons why like the representation conversation bothers me so much. Is because I think it's very narcissistic.
Yes, because we only want to know about ourselves. Stop it!
And I also think it's very limiting. Like I know I've said this before, like I remember watching Full Metal Alchemist and like watching Edward process his grief. And my father had passed away not long after I started that series. It maybe been a few years. So watching Edward process his grief through honestly mostly anger and being a petty ass hoe.
Yeah.
I related to that so strongly.
Right.
You know, and it didn't matter that he looked nothing like me outside of us both being short. Like, as of manga height, I think we're the same height actually. But
what, like 4'11"?
5'1".
Oh, okay.
But you know, like I didn't need him to look just like me to really deep down relate
Mm-hmm.
to how he was processing the loss of his mom
Right.
by yelling at God. Because
Right.
that's what I did.
Right.
I spent a lot of time yelling at God.
Mm-hmm.
Like Yuki Eri, for example, also, like, it didn't matter that he looks nothing like me. I related to how he processed trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Badly, but how he did it.
Yeah. All of those stories come from an individual person and their own experiences,
Mm-hmm.
not yours.
Right, not yours. So, I have a solution. If you want to be narcissistic and be mad at representation, write fucking fan fiction.
Nani?
Right.
What?
There are so many fanfic stories about Jewish students at Harry Potter, at Hogwarts for Harry Potter. Like, there's so many, like, Voltron writers that are disabled in fanfiction. If you want to be in the narrative, be in the narrative. But it means you have to work. There was a fantastic graphic, I'll have to dig it up, where it was like, don't ever discredit what fanfic writers do.
Yeah.
And, like, for free. And it was, like, the average length of a novel, blah, blah, blah. Like, so, like, humble brag for my fanfic that I have on AO3. I just hit 30,000 words. There are novels that are shorter than that. There are classics that are shorter than that. And here I give this to you for free.
Yeah.
I give this to the internet for free once a week. That would never how does that exist? There's no scenario where Edgar Allan Poe is just like writing poems and throwing them out the window for free.
Well, might have been.
He did a lot of drugs. He might have. It's one of the reasons I love, like, Harry Potter so much, except for J.K. Rowling being a TERF. But, like, that was actually one of the first worlds that I saw so much with, like, fan art. Like, there's so much fan art of, like, Harry being black or being Indian and, like, retelling the story, or Hermione being black because of the whole, like, hair debacle.
We all know that she's at least biracial black.
Sure.
It's canon. I don't care.
Okay.
Anyways.
See, like, like, there's so much fan art, and there's, like, amazing roleplay universes where you have all of this ethnicity and change. If you think that Cho Chang got screwed over in narrative because she did, write her better. Like, one of the fundamental tenets of why I write is I write for revenge. Like, when I was role-playing Harry Potter, I did my house. Not as me, but, like, I wanted to better represent Slytherin because I think they kind of get shafted. I think
of course you would think that.
Well, because you have, like, the three pieces of representation you have for Slytherin
are trash.
Yeah, like, you have, like, 2 cucks and a Nazi. So, you know, and, like, the house actually, like, has done some cool stuff.
Yeah, that's, you know what, you are so, of course you're right. Before you even say, I know. Because you know.
But, like, the house is not evil. It's, like,
right, it's just those
it's
people.
2 guys, and...
Yeah.
Like, that...
And an abused child.
And a very abused child.
Yeah. Not excusing his actions, but...
Not excusing his actions at all, but, like, a very sad, abused child.
Very abused. I'll say it was a child, TBH.
And repressed gay. Are we wrong?
No.
No. Well, like... Yeah, I wrote more complex Slytherin characters. Now, is this character still an asshole? Of course he is. Because he's mine. He's my little goblin.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I wrote better Slytherins.
And I want to ask you a question. How did you feel after, like, when you were writing these fanfics?
Sure.
How did you feel? Like, how did you feel doing it? Like, just like, how did you feel? Was it something, like, did it feel like a release or like a...
Yeah, it's like getting off sometimes. Like, it's nice because it's being selfish in a way that humans rarely get to. And especially with, like, someone else's work. Because it is very hubristic to look at a work and say, I can do better. Like, it's inherently narcissistic and hubristic. But like my long running series is Gravitation, and it's like I can take this world and do it better. Like I looked at it and I'm like, I can do this. I can do this better. I know I can. And I mean, I don't think I did, for the record. But it was more satisfying to me and to those who read it. Like I did my best to fill in some gaps that didn't make sense, because there are some like horrendous time gaps of just like, when is this happening? You know, I rewrote characters in a way that tried to give them more agency, because that was something that bothered me. You know, so of course, like, do I think I did it better? No, because I'm not Maki Murakami and I'm not published. But like,
but see, that's what we're not going to do, is say that just because you're not published doesn't mean that you're not.
Well, I mean, I'm not
good.
published in anything, because like I still think like AO3 is publishing. Like it's literally like on a flash drive in my apartment, and like no one else is. Outside of like my ex, like no one else has read it.
Okay.
Like
right.
it's cryptic. But like I did it to satisfy me.
Yeah.
But also like inherently as a writer, I'm very selfish. So like even like my Death Note fanfic right now, this is 100% just me jerking off. I like these characters. I don't think they got enough screen time. I think they're great.
Yeah.
And if you want, like, and I guess like the only way, if you want to jerk off with me, you're welcome to come along. But like, I would be doing this without you. Like, I do what I do, and if people like happen to enjoy it, cool. But like, like it is tremendously satisfying when you look at a narrative and it's like, I did this better, air quotes, than the writer. Like,
I mean, you say air quote, but like better. I mean, obviously now, like there are things, like technical things that go into making like something like good for good writing, but like you can still say that it's better in that like you enjoyed it more. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, like completely. It's
so,
like I enjoyed this experience much more than the Goblet of Fire.
Right.
But do fanfic, do fan art. If you are really upset at the lack of black characters in Yuri on Ice, go create up a black ice skater.
If writing isn't your thing, commission like one of your friends or something. I'm sure, because I know most of y'all listening have at least one friend who takes commission for fanfic.
Go role play.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
that dates me a lot, because not a lot of people do that anymore. But like role play was great for that shit. Just like building OCs and like going through scenarios, and like especially with like worlds that were already set up. Like honestly, I think role playing Harry Potter was the best, because it's a setup, but very open world. So you can take things, you know, kind of in liberty, but also like there's already a structure around it. So I didn't have to rebuild Hogwarts.
Right.
I just had to decide where I was going to put like the furniture. So at the end of all of this, representation is hard. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Like I do not envy the people who are trying really hard to make accurate representation, because it's, to me at this stage, it's almost Sisyphean. Like you can't make everyone happy, so why try? So for me personally, I don't write a lot of like new age fiction like that, so I don't really have to worry about that shit. But if I had to, oh my god, if I had to, I'd be so stressed out. Like representation's really hard. There was one representation panel that I did, and I was doing research for it, and I was looking up like terms like that queer people use to identify themselves, and there were words on that list that I didn't know. These are family. This is kin.
And you're like, I didn't even know this.
Like, I don't know what a gray demisexual is.
Oh, I do. But that's because I'm demisexual. Not gray.
But I do now. But like at the time, I was like, what the fuck? We have colors?
Right.
Like, when did we add colors? I mean, even like back then, like the only bi representation I remember in the media was Tila Tequila, and no one wants her. Right.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I think everyone wants to forget about her and commend her back down to the roaches where she belongs. Jesus, but like, think about it. That was the bisexual representation. That was it. There was your one. It was Tila Tequila. But like, representation is hard, and I don't want to like discredit anyone for feeling how they
Yeah.
feel.
Right.
And if either of us sounded flippant or mean, it's because we're old and it's been 2 hours and we need a nap.
Or maybe I was just being flippant and
Yeah,
mean. Like
or maybe-
honestly, like I'll own it.
Yeah, I'll own it.
If you hear a spot where I was being that way, feel free to call me out, and then I'll just tell you, what about it? You gonna arrest me?
And there's also a lot of points on both sides, honestly.
Yeah, they're really
And
yes.
we'll harken back to our discourse episode. I think the issue is that neither side is very good at conveying their point. Because I'll admit, in the moment, I'm not very good at conveying some of these points. Because I'm just mad, old, and cranky. And a lot of the youths who are trying to teach me something aren't very good at conveying their point by calling me a bitch or a slur or saying that I'm homophobic, even though I'm literally of the homo.
That was funny.
No, I had a kid on Tumblr say that I was homophobic for not liking Yuri on Ice. It's like,
see, okay, well, we're not like that's
what
the
we're
kind
not
of
gonna
shit.
do.
I don't want to take us off into a tangent land, but
Nothing
I often
matters.
wonder, like, I feel that the mangaka should be free to write or draw the story that they want to write or draw, right? They want to create a certain story. I think that more pressure should be put on the, like, let's say, like, agents, publishing houses, like the people that have the control over what's getting put out there to the masses. It's the people who decide whether or not, like, those stories are good enough for their magazine or for their publishing company that I think should get the most smoke. I'm not saying that authors should not get any, but like, if we want to see more representation,
I can't imagine that yelling at authors is ever going to be a good solution.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Yeah.
I know for me, like, yeah, like if someone yells at me, it's like, I demand to see myself in your narrative.
It's like I
can't imagine the comment that person's getting back.
Right.
I don't want to think about it. It's too hateful.
Right. Well, because it's like, why this girl is like screaming at me. Ugh, my cat. Anyways, but yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Who do you have locked up in your closet?
Oh no, my cat. She's like at the door, like. But yeah, like
cat has never been fed in her entire life.
She actually might be hungry. Okay, this is not even in the manga space, but I remember, like, with what's her name, that author of the, oh crap, what is her freaking name? She's a YA author. I can't remember. Anyways, it's a really popular series. She's a white lady, and of course, this series has. There's hardly any black people. I don't think there's any black people in it. And like there's a lot of conversation around that series about representation. People were super mad at her for not putting, more diversity in her books. And I'm just sitting here like, I don't care about whether or not she as an author puts black people in her books. What I care about is, are people who are black people, for example, being published? That's what I want to see. Like, the people who are writing those stories, are they being published? That's what I care about.
But
does
also,
that make sense?
You have to consider that author's sphere. They may genuinely not know any black folk.
Yeah, and I would rather them not put any black people in there.
Okay, so here's the thing about me. I would rather have no representation than bad representation.
Yes, I have said this before too.
That is the banner I live under. So, like, we mentioned Tila Tequila. I would rather her not exist.
100%. At least, on TV.
And have to explain bisexuality rather than, oh, there's a bisexual, ergo,
all of them
must be like, and that's a problem. And I look at a lot of Japanese mangaka. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, I do not trust them with my narrative.
That is so real. Oof. Real.
I don't. I mean, shit. I don't trust black people in America with my narrative. Like, that's not.
Especially as queer people, because we
Mm.
all know.
Oof. They only write us like that one guy from Pose. They always assume that like we're always like doing the most.
Actually, I am though.
I mean,
Like,
I am sometimes, but like
cut, cut, cut,
eventually,
cut, cut.
yeah, like eventually I
Arrow.
take my bra off and I sit down on the couch. You know,
Yeah, but
like
yeah, true.
I'm not always like that. I'm not, I don't death drop into the office.
I mean,
I
sometimes I do be.
I also can't death drop because I'm fat. But like, yeah, like I mean, and I say that because like I don't trust American writers with my narrative. That's why I write my narrative.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't trust. Yeah, I wouldn't trust Fumi Yoshinaga with my narrative.
No, because who, like, I'm not
I
gonna.
love her.
Yeah,
I think
like,
she writes great narratives. I don't trust her with the black story.
no, not even, no, absolutely, like, no, no,
No.
no, no. So that's what I'm saying. Like, but of course, whenever I will, one more thing that I want to add, because like
Mm-hmm.
I know it's gonna come up, because every
Mm-hmm.
time we mention, oh, like, write it yourself or support people who already do that, there's always, well, no one wants to like, oh, well, there's this black anime like, and nobody's talking about it. Well, here's the thing. Listen, I do want to remind people that just because something has black people in it doesn't mean that I must watch it or read it and like it. That's what and it's okay. Okay. So what I need for people to stop doing is telling me, well, because like in that whole conversation on Twitter, people kept saying, well, what about such and such and such and such? I don't watch none of those.
I've seen that a lot, and it's like, am I not allowed to not like things?
Like, and I'm sure you know the
I
specific
know
anime,
exactly what series you're talking
and
about.
I'm just like, let me be real. I watched a couple episodes and I was like, this is not for me.
Right.
That's it. That's why you don't see me hyping it up, because I'm not fake. Okay, I'm not gonna hype it up just for clout. Like I saw a lot of people doing, because I know good and damn well that a lot of them didn't even like that anime. They only talked about it. And this is like true facts. True facts. Tea. Actual tea. A lot of folks didn't actually like that anime. They went up for it because publicly they wanted to be seen as like I'm pro-black, I'm gonna go up for this black anime. But then they watched it and they were like, oh, it's just another mediocre shonen like all the other mediocre shonen. Oh, really? Oh, surprise Pikachu face.
Season 2 has been Amanda letting Aisha go off.
So
And Amanda being rewarded. I said this in private, and I'll say it in public also. Like in Aisha's vein, if you listen to our podcast because we're both black, please leave.
That too.
Like, if that's like your only reason of supporting us, please leave. Like, I am so much more than being African American.
I mean, it's a part that I like about myself, but
I think I like my tits the most.
Oh.
My brown tits. But like, and I don't say that flippantly. Like, it is important to both of us.
Yes.
But, like,
yes.
Please don't ever just be like one of those. Yeah, because like honestly, at that point, you're a clout chaser. It's like, I support all black artists. I don't.
Right.
I can happily say I do not support all black artists. I support the artists that I like, and some of them are black.
Right. And that's the thing is, like, I don't support, like, because that could be a whole, like, because that's a trap too that people, like, you can go down to, oh, support this because of this. And it's like, okay, but at what point are you just going to give everybody your money then?
Right.
Because, like, at what, you have to be able to, like,
money specifically.
Right. For real.
Give us your money. And, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do with it. We're going to, Am I gonna send you more of those honey butter chips?
Oh my god. The way I ate those.
You ate those so fast.
But I tell people all the time, I'm a
You
fucking
do.
snack
You
monster,
do.
and
Like,
they don't believe me, and I'm
at
just
least
like
you're honest about it. At
just
least
like
you're honest about it.
I be snacking. Like literally just like all day. It's like
Yeah, give us your
give me
money
the chips.
so I can send Aisha another care package. But
Yes.
I think with better discourse, with better research,
Hmm.
and just honestly, just maturity,
Yeah, and that
just
honestly
and that's hard.
it takes time and work.
And usually, like, it takes like someone important to you dying.
You know what? Yeah,
Like it
yeah.
usually usually
Girl,
takes.
if you don't get out,
I love this cat more than anything.
get out. I will feed you in a second.
I am liberating your Roomba and
Oh
this
my
cat.
gosh. Well, she's coming in. She's literally telling me that she's hungry. She's like,
I love
and looking
I
at me, and
love
I'm just
it.
like, bitch, if you don't go on.
I love it. I love that about cats so much. Cats are so petty.
They get on my nerves. I'm
I
waiting for them to die so I don't ever have to have cats ever again. I'm never
they're
getting any
so
more pets.
they're
I
so
love them, but
perfect. Cats are perfect. I love them. You can tell I was raised in a cat house. Um so where can you find your lovely host? Aisha, where can they find you?
you can find me at Mama Loves Manga everywhere, like on Google. www.google.com and then search Mama Loves Manga.
You can find me at AichiYume at most places. And at my blog is Amanda Actually at WordPress.com.
Yes.
As a unit, you can find us
Yes.
everywhere at the Yaoi Shelf because we worked very hard to make sure that SEO was consistent.
Yes.
We're more active on Twitter than anywhere else because I think it's like
Mhm.
the only social media platform that we have. We've been
Mhm.
kicking around to Discord because it was something that Aisha said,
Mhm.
and then the topic dropped for weeks.
Oh yeah, well, because so the disc like a general Discord exists for it's called Sit Down and Read Your Manga. I don't know what I want to do with the yeah, like I don't know how I want to incorporate. So I have until I also I don't consistently get into the Discord.
I know,
So people are in there just hanging out and talking, and I'm
I
just trying to
know.
figure out like what do I want to do with this? So I'll talk to you about it eventually.
Okay. I'm just saying I have this beautiful calendar here. I have this beautiful I have this gorgeous planner here that says emotions are one hell of a drug for
Oh,
cancers.
it's a can. Oh,
Yeah.
so
And
cute.
it says emotions are a hell of a drug.
Mm.
I have this beautiful planner here with a lot of blank spaces from when you first mentioned wanting a Discord and when you've spoken to me about it again because that hasn't happened. I'm just saying I have this beautiful planner with
Mhm.
all these blank spaces
Mhm.
where you haven't mentioned.
Mhm.
Mhm. I'm just saying it's a real shame,
A shame seeing all that blank
It's a
space.
real shame just all these blank
All those blank
spaces that have
spaces.
passed.
The worst part is like the things that I will complain at people for doing to
You
me
do
is shit that I do to people.
to me mostly.
If it helps, it's not
No, it
just
doesn't.
you.
No, it doesn't help. Fuck you. I hate that. If it helps, no, be a better person.
That's my goal for 2021.
Um, if you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so at anchor.fm uh, slash the Yaoi Shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to give us your money, but
If you want,
if you want to. We'll keep doing this anyways. We don't have anything
yes.
better to do.
This is,
Well,
I mean,
I would be watching RuPaul's Drag Race right now.
I would be, uh, honestly spoken a bowl. Like, this is, Yeah.
I can't judge you. I can't and won't judge you on
Yeah.
this. What are we covering next episode? Don't look at me like that. Since we covered representation,
Yes.
one of the trope analyses that we have is abusive semes.
Ooh.
You want to talk about some? You want to talk about some abusive semes?
Yes.
Okay. Because I think they're both our favorite.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
I mean,
I relate to I like them more than I should, and I'm aware that it's bad.
Yeah. I tend to like the uke characters more because I think more often than not, I tend to, in some ways, identify with them.
That's why I sent you the word uke on a fucking board of
Yes,
wood.
yes. Whereas the seme characters, I like them because more often than not, they are my type aesthetically. And that's it. Because more often than not, they're assholes, but they're hot assholes.
Yeah.
And also, they
Accurate.
usually have, like, and also they clearly know how to use
Their equipment.
Because, oof. That's, yeah.
I've always related to the seme characters more because they usually have like a darker background, which is not an excuse. Which is not an excuse to be an abuser, which is just the title of our episode. Trauma is not an excuse to be an abuser. But they usually have the darker backstories, so I usually relate more to the seme characters.
That makes sense.
So next month, in April, we're going to talk about abusive semes.
That'll be fun. That'll be like probably one of our most boys love episodes.
We can't escape now. We have to talk about gay shit.
Yes. Also, I finally found the list. So I'm going to keep this handy so that next time I won't have to look at the camera stupid and in confusion when you say, what are we talking about next month?
It's so cute because I go out of my way to make things as easy as possible.
But it's still hard.
It's still somehow hard.
But listen, I'm that person who does that, and my kids do it too. And I see it, and I'm just like, is this like a trait that gets passed down? Like, is it like a genetic thing?
Yes, it's like a secret. It's a secret learned handshake.
Like, literally can't fucking function. Like,
I mean, you can. There's definitely things that you're good at.
It's like things that are like, this is like literally have it set up for me. It's like whenever I give Phineas, get clothes out for him to put on, and I hand it to him so that when he puts it on, it should be facing forward, but somehow his tops are always backwards, and I'm like, how are you making this more difficult? I don't know. It's a skill. It's a skill that we have.
I have spatial awareness issues, so like I have a hard time like rotating things like in my mind. So like if you say like, oh, take this shape and rotate it like 720 degrees to the left.
I mean, if you say 720 degrees, I'm not going to be able to do that either.
Like I have a really hard, like, it's just like a blank. It's like an error 404 page. And I remember I was getting tested for that, and I had like this like colorful blocks in front of me, and it's like, now rotate this piece to like whatever degree. And I just like looked at the doctor and was like, no. This is like, no.
Because I'm like, because your brain is like, freaking out. And it's like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna.
Like, there's smoke coming out of my ears. It's just like, no.
No, I'm not gonna
Thank
do
you
that.
for the blocks, but like, I don't know what you just said. Like,
the struggle.
The struggle is real. So thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank y'all so much.
We can't wait to see you at our subsequent live later this month, which we will schedule out as soon as we can.
Yep.
And yeah, keep on reading. Be nice to each other. This is our year in quarantine. Have we made it?
It's been about a year.
Yeah, I think for most people we hit a year.
Yeah.
So just don't be a dick.
I mean, and also get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I got my first shot, my first dose.
My aunt's getting vaccinated tomorrow. I need to get on the list
Mhm.
for my city.
Yeah. I got lucky because
No
I live
one
in a
was
small
ready to
area. Right. And
like.
also because like Matt's native and he works for the natives and I'm his wife. They were like, yeah, you can come
Are
in.
you a black person benefiting off of native effort and struggle?
Absolutely. Sure. Yep.
It's like yes.
Listen,
It's
I
like yes,
gave
I
birth
am.
to two of your like I gave birth to two of them for you. So you gonna take care of me. That's what you gonna
It's
do.
like Peter Pan. You're just gonna throw them into a teepee. Like what the fuck are you?
Here's your Choctaw babies. Honestly though, they really were like, yeah, you gave us Choctaw babies, thanks. Bye. We'll pay for we'll take care of you as long as
I
you
feel
give
like
us
that's the
Choctaw
Air
babies.
Force for like especially black people.
Mm.
Like I mean, the Air Force takes care of everyone, but like the Air Force for black people is like, thank you for serving, pay
It
for
is
nothing for the remainder of your
that
days.
is an interesting. I wonder there's probably something behind that. Probably because reparations.
Yeah, probably someone sued and like.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for listening. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.